Hi everybody, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch in far west Texas once again. Got another video. I'm going to quit saying they're short little video because they're never short. But I got a video today about a plant that I'm going to try. Now, if you followed my comments in my videos, I've made some pretty outspoken comments about what I consider fads. For example, when it comes to chicken feed, fermented chicken feed, I say it's a fad. It may be good and everything else. I call it a fad because it's going to be here today, and in a year they'll be on to something else, something new, and the trendies will follow it. But one thing is, you never know if something that you've just discovered, I don't want to call a plant new, but something that I've just discovered or you've just discovered, you don't want to say it's a fad unless you look at it real good and hard. And someone wrote me about moringa trees, and this is where I made my comment about, well, I don't follow fads because of fermented feed and blah blah. Anyhow, I looked into moringa trees, and you can too, M-O-R-I-N-G-A. There is a piece of a Discovery Channel documentary on the moringa tree that gives you a good background on it. There are several very nice videos out there, and I'll warn the Donald Trumps among us that there are a lot of people with heavy accents that have done some really nice videos. But they're like mine, they're amateurish, and their accent is a little bothersome, but the information is great. So listen to these folks. They've got a lot to tell you about moringa, more than what I will. But what we're going to do here today is I'm going to take and get, I'm going to plant some moringa seeds today, and I'm going to come back when I've got some sprouts to transplant, or to plant I should say, and do a little bit more. So today we're going to go ahead and start. Now, I watched a whole bunch of videos, and I came to the conclusion that the very best way, from what I saw, again, I'm going to warn you up front, I'm not speaking from personal experience on moringa trees yet. But for my experience, for what I have seen from looking at some, I don't know, 20 to 30 videos, this is the way to sprout a moringa tree. Now, first of all, why would you be interested in having a moringa tree? Well, the doggone thing grows a foot a month or more. I'm in climate zone 8A. So I'm right on the fringe where they may overwinter, they may not. We do get some cold winters here, and that could kill them back. But if you're in an area where you get a decent enough growing season, I wouldn't hesitate to grow them, because they'll grow up, they'll go to pod, they'll go to seeds, and then they'll die back in the winter. But if you protect the little stub with mulch or hay or something, like you do some of your evergreens anyway, they'll come right back in the spring, and then the next spring and the next spring. So you can grow it almost anywhere. You can grow them in containers. What I've seen, and there's a nice 40-minute video from a guy somewhere in Arizona, I think his name is Dennis, where he talks about growing them in containers. They don't grow quite as fast, I'm told, in the container, but they do grow. Now, why would you want them? Well, as far as humans go, the moringa tree, the leaves and the young stalks are edible. The young pods are edible. When the pods get a little older, they're edible. The seeds are actually edible, and they can be pressed for oil. The seed cake can be used, they say, for purifying water. It is essentially a superfood, and I'm only going to hit a couple of the things. It's got more vitamin A than carrots. It's got more potassium than bananas, 3 times more than bananas. It's a high protein, so it's a great source of vegetable protein, not only for humans, but for the birds. Now, this is all what I've seen, so it's anecdotal coming out of me, but we're going to give it a shot. It's non-fatty and not fatty enough for me to want to go ahead and get started on it. So here's what a moringa seed looks like, and you'll see them, everybody on their videos will show you. Here's what they look like. I've soaked these, and some of the folks just soaked them and put them in the sprouter. Some people took and peeled these wings. You can see the wings here. Peeled these wings off like so, and claimed they sprouted better with the wings off. Now, I can honestly, from what I know about plants, which isn't much, but from what I do know, I can't see where peeling the wings off is going to make much difference or not. But inside this wingless now pod is a little nut, and it looks like a chickpea or a garbanzo pea. One of the videos I know, they took and peeled this back and sprouted this. So I have a few this way, and the rest I peeled the wings off of. So let me readjust the camera, and we'll get these set up to sprout. Then we'll come back and see what happened in a week. So I've put you up in the air. You can't see me. Again, you're not looking at my ugly face. And what we're going to do is fit a paper towel. In this case, paper towel fits very nicely. We're going to fit a paper towel in here for water retention. And I believe I'll go ahead and wet that paper towel down, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the seeds on the paper towel. Alright, I've put quite a bit of water in here. But remember, we're in the desert, so you may not need so much water where you live. But it's a little bit better to have water. And it's kind of interesting. We were talking about the moringa seeds, and one of the local guys who's doing, gosh, he seems to be doing as much stuff, if not more, than I'm doing, and he's got a bit more money than me. So he's been doing a lot of it pretty quickly. He tried to grow them, and he said that he had trouble. He didn't have much trouble sprouting them, but he had a lot of trouble transplanting them. And we'll get into that in the next segment of this. So we're going to take, and I'm just dumping the seeds in here, but I believe I'm going to just spread these around. I'm going to take in the very center the 4 that I peeled and put them here. And then I'm going to get these spread out. I'm going to edit this so there'll be a cut here. Okay, I've got them spread out. You'll notice this is a Sterilite container. I'm using it because the other people were, but one woman had one of those 3 or 4 use throwaway Glad containers that she sprouted hers in. So you'd sprout them in almost anything. I had this because we used it for the mealworm farm, and I had drilled a whole bunch of holes in the lid. Now I don't want the water escaping, so I just took a piece of plastic from a ramen noodle soup thing and just taped that plastic to it, because you know what I like to do around here is reuse it. Every dollar you save is another dollar on your bottom line in life and in business. So we're going to cover it up like this, cinch it down. I'm going to put it in medium sunlight, which is where my tomatoes are right now. And we're going to let it go just like this. I'll check the water every day. We're going to let it go just like this for about a week. We'll see what happens. Today is Monday, May 2nd. Tomorrow is Monday, May 3rd, which is my 63rd birthday. So wish me a belated happy birthday. We'll see what happens on May 10th. I'll be back. Okay, we're back, and it has now been 11 days on these moringa seeds, and I left it go 11 days instead of 8 for 2 reasons. One, and the most important, I didn't have the peat pots I wanted, and 2, they weren't really doing much of anything up until that point, up until this point rather. So we're all set up to transplant them. I'm just going to run down what I've got here. I've got peat pots, 16 of them here. This is number 17. This was a coffee thing that I had planted seeds in. Those seeds did not come. I dug them up. They didn't even germinate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant one in here. I have 17 that sprouted out of everything we put in. Put them in here. Then I'm going to put them in here to maintain humidity until they get some size and some strength, some vitality to them. So let's get started. I'm going to show you what the seeds look like now. All right, I'm going to hold it up here, take the lid off. Look at what we got. Some didn't sprout. Most of them did. I counted 17. I'm going to go through and figure it out. The one that is the biggest is the one I'm going to put in this pot here. and then the rest I'm going to put in the peat pot. So let's get going on that. And this will be just fairly simple. I'm going to just pick up the seeds, starting here. You've probably noticed that there's something growing here, and I don't know what those were. They were actually sprouted in the potting soil, and I hate to kill any plant. I don't know if anybody else out there is like me or not, but I don't like to kill a plant unless I absolutely have to. So whatever it is, I said, let's let it grow. It might be something worthwhile. So it's in the corner of this one here. So I'm just going to go through and plant all of these. You don't have to watch that, but you can watch me plant this one. Now this is the interesting one because, let me turn this around because I can't see myself, so I don't know if you can see. This is the interesting one because I had peeled this seed down to the nut, and it actually, the one with the nut, and let me look here. Yeah, the ones with the nut actually sprouted better. So if you're very careful and you peel them to the nut, it looks like they sprout better. Again, we're in kind of, I always like to use that term undiscovered country, partly because I'm a Star Trek fan, and partly because it's true. We are in undiscovered country. So there's my one little moringa tree. And then I'll plant the rest of these and come back. Tricky. The sun is behind you, and it's blinding me a little bit. Now, I've got some more seeds in here, and let me explain why. The ones that didn't sprout, I put in this row here. I don't want to tip this too high. I put in this row here, just to see if they'd sprout. And I've got 2 more rows that I'm putting in because I'd like that many of these, and I'm assuming some attrition. I hope not. So I put these in. I did not soak these because one of the fellows around here who's also doing, well, there's so many of us in this area that are trying to live sustainably, each in our own way. And one of the fellows had said that all he does is nip the ends off of the seed, and that seems to help him sprout. He had posted on Facebook some photos of his sprouts. And he's got little trees, you know, they're up and they're on their 3rd or 4th set of leaves. So we're going to try his way. So I'm holding this one here. There's 2 ends. Look at this end, the shape of it. Let me turn it around. Now look at the shape there. There is a slight difference, and it appears to me that this is the end, because I looked as I planted. This is the end that the stuff comes out of. So I cut right here. I might have cut that a little deep. But I nipped the end off. Now I saved this one specifically to show you a little better. You can look there and you can see the difference in the ends. Now this is the end that the root and the tree seem to come out. The root and the tree come out the same end, and then one goes up, one goes down. So let's nip just a bit off of this. Little bit more. I want to just see the white a little bit more. There. You see what I've done? So let's try that. And again, I'm not telling you this as an expert, and unfortunately most of the videos I saw, they weren't telling you as an expert either. They were guys that are about at this point, so we really don't know what's going to happen until we grow them. So I'm going to put a little more water in here. You'll see I have these all set up and ready. They're planted. And then my one over here, which is just off camera, I see, this was the biggest one, and I put it here. This soil was really wet. And that could, one remaining rooster, and that could be why they didn't sprout. Everything that I've read and seen, there's one consensus that we get out of it, and that's well-drained soil. This was not well-drained. What I've done now is I've got gravel up to about here. So it is well-drained. I didn't add water to this. I'm going to add a little bit, but not much. These have already, the peat pots have been soaked. I'm going to dribble some water in here and put them up, and I'll show you that in a second. Well, I've backed you guys up so you can kind of just see how I'm finishing this up. One thing I don't think I said, if I'm repeating myself, thank you, Eric. If I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. The reason we're using peat pots is another consensus I got, and I must have watched like 40 videos from all kinds of people, from amateurs to people that thought they were real fancy. And the one consensus I got from all of them was that Moringa does not transplant well. That's what they said. So by using peat pots, when I've got a tree that's up to about here, and looks, there's only 4 of them, I promise, that looks a little sturdier, then I can cut them and I can actually go ahead and plant them in the ground, or in I think what I'm going to do is bigger pots. And the reason I'm going to do bigger pots here as opposed to going right in the ground is just because of what you always hear around me. All these chickens, they ate up all of my lemongrass. They've eaten up everything I've planted, so I want to keep these moringas from them until I've got the chickens tucked away, which is one of the projects we're working on. So let's put this up. What I'm doing here may very well be desert specific. I think if you lived in New Orleans and Houston and maybe Corpus Christi, you wouldn't have to. But almost anywhere else, Homestead, Florida, but almost anywhere else, I think you've got to worry about humidity. Now, you want well-drained soil, but you want air humidity, and I think you want a lot of humidity, and you can't get that out here in the desert. So I'm going to take the peat pots that are soaking wet, wanting to fall apart, and I'm putting them in this, this is an old plastic we don't use anymore, an old tub, because it's got a hole in the bottom. I've fixed the hole. I've just plugged it with duct tape and put some water in the bottom. Maybe overkill, I don't know. We'll find out. So these are here. I'm going to cover them and put them back in the same spot they sprouted. I'm going to cover this. I've added water to it. I'm going to cover this, put it back in the same spot where it sprouted. And my little tiny tree, remembering the well-drained soil, it's now in well-drained soil. This is not overly wet, but we want to keep that air humidity. So we'll put my bag back over it, put these up, and we will see what happened. Now, if you're a regular viewer, stay tuned, because in a day or two I'm going to start something. I'm going to start going to a vlog kind of concept, because I haven't been putting enough videos up for you guys to watch. And in that vlog, I'm going to talk about some changes we have to make around here. But until then, let's get the moringas up. There'll be 3 parts to the moringa. This was part 1. Part 2 is going to be when I come back with the seedlings, and we've got seedlings to transplant. And part 3 is going to be when I do something with the trees, hopefully get them in the ground. Now, the thing is, they're going to be a long way apart, so don't anticipate number 2 right away. It's going to take a while to get there. But until then, this is Robert Earl out at the Eco Ranch in Far West Texas saying, see you later.